Hello and welcome back to another episode of Review Your Death Clips. My name is Syken. I have played quite a bit of World of Warcraft Hardcore. I have leveled every class to level 60, did all of the content including killing KT on both sides, so let's jump right into it and see what kind of death clips we have today. Alright, let's move into the first death of today. Comes from Stratholme. Oh, Asa Grim, that's nasty. Yep, there are the ads. And everybody immediately begins to move out, then realizes, you know what, there is no exit here. And he doesn't know about the stealth detection. Okay, well, a lot has been going wrong here. Let me explain all of the different things that have gone wrong. So we're starting with a quest, that they apparently wanted to do, which is the tobacco quest line here. It requires you to basically take up a chest, and then an entire pack will spawn, and then you need to fight that. That is Ezra Grimm plus these enemies. However, there's also a mailbox right next to it, which is for the Undead Postman quest line. There are multiple mailboxes. You kind of find a key, then you can open it, and then you need to kill multiple of these postmen. They are very, very nasty. At the beginning, though, if you're just clicking it, you will trigger a horde of enemies coming in, which will drop said key that then opens the mailboxes iteratively. So the first mistake here is that they basically aggroed a second pack without knowing. Second major mistake is, I would call that the airline mistake. You know, when you're boarding a flight and they always tell you, have in mind what your nearest exit is. The nearest exit here, since they cleared from the north, I would bet you that that is what happened, would be to run up here, run through here, and run out through the back entrance that they likely have used. There is another entrance down here, but that entrance is closed off, which several people have realized a little bit too late. Third mistake that you will see is several of these zombies in particular do have a stealth detection, so you, as a rogue, you can't just go there and do your thing. So that will not help you out. On top of that, we are having no target dummies here, or am I just tripping? I see grenades. This could be easy throw, so might not be engineer, which in hardcore is very hard to sell why you wouldn't be an engineer. Anyways, let's slow down, and we're going to do a bit of a play-by-play review of what is happening here. At this point, they can still very much win it. He goes on to Ezra Grimm. I disagree with that assessment. In my perspective, if I'd be rolling rogue, he already had slice and dice going. I would be going to the casters, the two guardians, kick them. Second mistake, again, from my perspective, I would never run double instant poison. This is greedy. This is just maximizing your DPS, and that's the wrong logic. The correct logic, in my perspective, would be to use offhand mind numbing, because there are a couple of casters here, and that will massively reduce the damage that is coming in. Safety first, not DPS first. Buffs are looking okay. This is because of the click that happened. Correct play here. Yeah, this again, mistake from the priest. Priest puts a shield on, incorrect. The correct play here is renew on both of the tanks. Watch the health of the mage, because the mage will need to fix this problem. Mage is evocating, I think. No, has just channeled. So yeah, the mage could still AoE a lot of that. Ezra Grimm just needs to be tanked, and then that is fine. Instead, these guys decide, I think, at this point that they want to get away. They are leaving way too much pressure on that mage, who's now forced to ice block, and you're seeing all of the pressure is now on the tanks. This guy, Spooky, just doesn't really play very well here. Now decides to completely abandon his friends. I haven't seen a single kick, nothing. He's more thinking about how do I survive that. Chucks down a potion, and basically they're pulling additional packs. At this point it's unsalvageable, so there is no chance for them to do anything. Most of them have already left the group. Spooky kind of did not. And the problem, even if this guy has 300 lockpicking, is unless he does have the key of Stratholme, and even if he does, he actually isn't exiting here because the key has an animation. And yep, here he gets detected, and yeah, he basically deserved the death. He still used a macro, which is invite someone leave group macro, and that should trigger the 1 minute of getting out of the dungeon. But I have very little respect for what I have been seeing here. The guy has not helped at all. Granted, there weren't a lot of calls made. The only thing that Spooky did was basically run away, pop evasion, pop sprint, and not care about the others. And in typical rogue fashion, then assume that the vanish would solve all of the problems. But clearly not knowing the dungeon very well, and also not knowing his role very well, there were a few execution issues that came with it. And ultimately they paid the price and died. So a lot could have been done better here. If you go through these dungeons, get together in Discord. Don't be like these guys and actually start making calls. Don't run away into a direction which is unsafe. And above everything, don't just roach out on the first sign of trouble. Those two packs could have been dealt with. There are enough healing consumables left over. So I'm really not a big fan of what I've seen. Let's move on to the next. Alright, death number 2 comes from Darmor
So we
North.
can go on top here. Okay, fuck, run out. Come, everybody come,
I'm gonna come.
I'm going shield, dummy. Oh my god, Gronk, I'm so sorry.
Well, let's shortly look at what they were trying to do. Okay, so they are trying to get into library, I would assume. That's fair to assume. I would further assume that they are trying to do like a quest there. Kronk here is coming in with 3,500 hit points. That includes his own stamina buff. Not great. So freshly-ish geared character. Barely 3,000 with his equipment bay. Okay, he's level 59. That makes sense. So the right way to play that is actually to jump here onto that ledge, then jump down, move all around here, and then get into that library part. Clearly,
on top here.
these guys did not yet know that, and his friend is breaking line of sight by being high enough so that this pack here would aggro at this very point.
Okay, fuck, run out. Come, everybody come.
Alright, so let's talk about what can you do in this situation. The easiest part that Gronk should immediately do, because he has just aggroed 3 enemies, is to drink the swiftness potion. Don't look back and just run out of the instance. Kronk has unfortunately also done a couple of very serious mistakes. He has not put inner fire on himself, which should always be there. I will give him a certain amount of slack that his spirit buff isn't there. That's just lazy, but he still could do it. And the shadow buff likewise, but both of those wouldn't have saved his life. Okay, so what's happening here? These guys are running. At this point here, it's the last moment where he can speed pot and just get out of here without causing trouble. He does not have engineering. Well, he does have engineering actually on his bar, but he does not have bound a target dummy on his bar, which is crazy. Like, he has mining engineering, but he does not have target dummy. That's asking for trouble. So that's the next mistake. Third mistake is he hasn't keybound all of his stuff. There is a random smelting in here on the bar. Will of the Forsaken is not bound. The potions amongst everything are not bound, so that's a huge problem. So Gronk was the one initially pulling aggro, and these Gorlock brutes, they are actually nasty because they have a knock up. And here's the thing: when you are knocked up, you cannot drink potions. It's a one exception to the rule. You cannot petri out of a knock up, and that is a huge problem. So as much as I have fought the guy beforehand, his shield here has actually saved him from getting insta-clapped, and these guys are super hard hitters. His friend Ned ate the frostbolt of the 4th Gordon, and you can see they're hitting him for 600 a pop, so the low hit points are already a problem. He potions. A potion doesn't put your petri on cooldown, so they even target dummy, but I don't know if the target dummy came first or his potion came first, because if it's target dummy and then he potions, then the healing from the potion will cause aggro. So it's petri out.
Dummy.
He is dazed. Dummy goes down. Was a low level dummy. He still has time to theoretically petri here. Could theoretically even fear after the dummy dropped to not get clapped, and then he immediately just gets multi hit gangbanged. Yeah, lack of knowledge, lack of execution. Maul North is a serious place, and the whole thing about petries is, just like with Light of Elune, people tend to die with them in their inventory, whilst the right call is to simply use them. They are there to save your life, and he instead now has to play 250, 300 hours because he didn't know what to do. Anyways, move on to the next death. Alright, moving on to death number 3 on today's episode. We move from Dire Maul North to Dire Maul West, which is even scarier. Let's see what's happening.
The Elder Spirit in the middle has the she has the silence.
I'm getting new. I'm just gonna do it. I had a petri.
Are we leaving?
I'm petri.
Yeah, get out.
If I'm damaged, am I still gonna take aggro? Am I good?
Are you kidding me, bro?
He died?
Yeah.
The fucking mage died. We're all petri now. We're good, but the mage fucking died, bro.
Well, it was not the mage's problem. See, couple of things to consider when you're playing Dire Maul West. For starters, in my humble opinion, it is likely the most dangerous of all of the instances, mainly because you need a lot of knowledge and need the right group composition in order to approach it. It's doable without, but generally speaking, you need to know what you're doing. So these guys here are going in at level 58, at least the rogue. Even if I assume that the rest is all level 60, that's still pushing it, because it's actually a difficult instance. Granted, some of it is offset. This guy is rocking world buffs, which is a smart decision. Onyxia, Rend, and Songflower. So that is fine. And he even has a couple of other buffs. So what makes this dungeon so pretty level is that there are a couple of gotcha moments where if you don't do things in the right order, either many enemies will come and knock you down, or you will be surprised by a lot of enemies, or you will run into wandering packs, plenty thereof, that make your life a living hell. This particular area here with the Eldritch Phantasms is a known problematic spot. It is typically an area where the tier 0.5 quest line happens, and where you need to kind of gather a rare drop essence of these. The problem with that area in particular is that there are many hidden enemies, as in invisible. So Dalmor West is potentially one of the instances where I would not only recommend but require to have a warlock in the group, because a lot of the mechanics in that particular dungeon can be countered by a warlock. So having at least one warlock will make the run substantially more easy. Warlock here could put in detect greater invisibility, and you would basically see all of the hidden enemies. Another option to deal with it is to very carefully single pull, and then simply accept that there will be sometimes 1-2 extra ads. What these guys have done is, apparently the warrior has pulled further into the room, and at this very point, without any hidden enemy, they already are fighting 4 of these guys. They don't have a priest, so Shekel is out of the window. I think you can blind them. I'm not 100% sure. The druid tank and warrior DPS, it's not a really great combination. It's like one of those combinations where you bank on basically the warrior and the rogue carrying with Wind Fury Totem, and saving the day and solving problems with damage. You can see he is getting engaged with all of these Eldritch Phantasms, and they do have not only a silence, which now hit both the warrior and the druid, but they also come with AoE shadow damage, and like I said, the invisible guys are going to stack up on top of that. Mage does make the mistake of basically running in and trying to take on multiples of that. This is not the right environment where you would ever want to AoE. The rogue does have to earn a bit of criticism as well. At this point, the Eldritch Apparition at the end can be blinded. If not that, it could be gouged, and then you focus on the others. He basically wasted his stealth and got hit by an AoE instead of starting to sheep shot the first one to just reduce the damage that is incoming. And therein already lies a problem. The group, and the rogue in particular, doesn't seem to not take this very serious. So the druid says, "I'm getting nuked." By the way, if you have friendly nameplates on, really reconsider your choice. That is not good. It just makes everything way more cluttered. This guy is running Plater for enemy nameplates, and that's totally fine. But they are, or he is not running. A good setup with those nameplates. Then on top of it, I gotta say, there is a bit of laziness here as well. I can only assume that he's having a claw in the offhand, and the main hand is not poisoned because he wants to benefit from Wind Fury. Looking at the poisons that he is using, one of my main criticisms with rogues is that they only think about themselves as a damage class, and in his mind, likely having instant poison is good enough. I cannot stress how important it is in a combination of these classes that you do have something against casters, and just relying on a single counterspell from the mage and then on the mage to basically AoE deal with all of them is I would call it optimistic at best. Likely a bit of a pipe dream. Chubby here should go with mind-numbing poison. Pretty firm on that one, because a lot of the aberrations, those two, are casters. And if he would play his role well, he would basically hit both of them with mind-numbing poison. You can see how fast the Frostbolt is casting. It's 1.5 seconds. Mind-numbing makes it 3 seconds. The druid says he's getting nuked. You can see this Eldritch Spirit here has gotten the bear stun. The rogue isn't really giving a damn at this point about interrupting any of the casts. You see another silence. These guys are running the safeguard add-on. Silence on the front line doesn't seem like a bad situation, but it actually is quite bad, because Battle Shout and Taunt are both verbal commands, so you cannot do that when you're silenced. We're seeing again the main problem here, that now aggro is on the Shaman on top of that. So these guys are running rampant. The mage completely screws it up in my perspective with the invisible enemies. There's absolutely no reason to go in deeper to make the problem even larger. So I'm not saying the whole blame is on the rogue, but when you do have when you're running a combat build, and you're essentially just focusing on DPS, and then you're even sucking at the DPS, so I mean he's nowhere near the top meters. The druid and the warrior dealing a better job in that. Oh, sorry, that's Strat, my bad. That's actually good. He doesn't have DPS meters on here, but I would still argue that with level 58, 59, there's no reason to not use utility. I haven't seen a single cheap shot. I haven't seen a single kick. Nothing. Kick is off cooldown with 3 casters. That's crazy. Adrenaline Rush hasn't been used. Grenade hasn't been used. He's basically just sending it. And look, I mean, the druid is at 20%, okay? At which point do you as a player think, you know, this is going so bad, I need to do something to actively help and support the team? In his mind, it's likely never going to happen. But he has everything off cooldown. He does have Thistletea, which he could simply stun, change target, Thistletea, go and basically unload. He doesn't even have Slice and Dice running, so his DPS can't be that massive. And I'm overall not understanding what he's really trying to accomplish here. He does have grenades. He does not have target dummies. And at this point, when you're so low, or when your tank is so low, you got to take accountability for that.
I had a Petri.
Yeah, tank now Petris, correctly so, would have likely done the same. He's caught out of form, head to Petri, and now everybody is going to be on the warrior, and then afterwards on the shaman, who, by the way, is the only guy in this entire group who respectfully seems to at least try to help them.
Get out.
Drakers is now the main target. I don't know what he's doing, so can't really speak for it.
Still gonna take aggro?
Then the comment here is great. I had to vanish. No, my dude, you did not have to vanish. What you had to do is play your class better and help the others. This is a great example of someone playing a class and immediately roaching the moment that things are not working well. Drakers went into Petri, the Shaman went into Petri, and I don't know what the Mage did. In my perspective, overall, really poor group composition for what they're trying to do. Pre-60 going in here, also not great, and very poor execution from the rogue. I'm not trying to be too harsh or too mean, but that was just really not well played at all. Anyways, that's it for today. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a good one, and see you in the next episode. Bye bye.